Testing 1, 2, 3. Alright, sorry about the sound. We're just trying to fix it real fast. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Hi Rasita, welcome. Sorry, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Hi Rasita, welcome. Sorry, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. Okay, hello. Can you guys hear me now? Hello, can you guys hear me now? Okay, hello. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, I'm gonna pull the mic back a little bit. You say it's okay now? It's not too annoying? You say it's okay now? It's not too annoying? Hello? Testing? Okay, I think it's okay now. I apologize again if the audio is a little bit bad. It seems that I have a loose connection. But right now, is this fixed? Can you guys all hear me perfectly fine? On my end, it sounds like it's okay. Okay, Rashida, thank you so much for your help here. Okay, let's get into it then. Hello, Rashita. Welcome. I hope that you're having a good Saturday. I don't know if it's morning, afternoon, or evening for you. But I hope that it's going well. Okay, so today's agenda, we are going to look at the new schedule for October just really fast. Next, we're going to go over useful vocabulary to study for this topic. As you guys could probably tell, the we're going to be talking about the countryside today. Not countries, but the countryside. We'll do a little bit of pronunciation practice. And then we'll jump really fast into part 1 and then part 3. Okay, sorry for the pauses. I'm hearing myself and I just felt it sound pretty terrible. If you guys think that this is too terrible, please let me know in chat and we'll try to fix it and postpone to a different day. But if you guys think that this is okay for you right now, we will keep going. Okay, so let's look at the schedule for October. Sorry guys, we are down to 2 live streams a week for October. Both me and Phil have busier schedules right now, and so I hope you guys joined Phil for his speaking practice on Tuesday. As you see, that is what he will be doing on every Tuesday, while I will be doing vocabulary on Saturdays. Okay, if you guys are just joining us, please make sure that you guys join live, because you guys can always go back and watch later. If we go to the IELTS Grind and we say hi, and we skip the ad, or if you really want to help us out, don't skip the ad. Make sure you guys are not watching the playback. Make sure you guys are live. And then be sure to say hello, just like Rasitha did. Okay. So, and if you like what you see, don't forget to like. Let's get started then on useful vocab to study. And by the way, you guys can access this yourself right down here. Just click this link and you guys will get this whole document for free that you can copy and paste from. So, useful vocabulary. Do you guys know of other ways to say the country or the countryside? Rashita, do you know another way to say the country or the countryside? And I'll give you a minute to chat. Rashita, I know that you're happy to talk, which is why I'm talking to you. And anyone who's watching this afterwards, if you guys join the live streams, I love active classes. Normally I have a bunch of people coming, but we were a little bit late on putting up today's scheduled video. So if it's just me and Rashitha, guess what? You're getting one-on-one time. Oh, rural. That's what a lot of people know. But rural is an adjective. The country is a noun. So you've got to make sure that you know when you can switch them. So I have a bunch of other ways to say it right here. I have a sentence right here. I'm taking my gun and going out hunting in the countryside. That would also be okay. I'm taking my gun and going out hunting in the bush or the outback. If you were in Australia, that is what you would call it. Okay. You could, if you were in America, specifically on the East Coast, you would say the woods, the sticks, or the boonies. All 3 of these are perfectly fine. And by the way, I set this up so that you would say this sentence, and then these 3 things would be how you would say it. And you know that this sentence works with any of these endings. So, I'm taking my gun and going out hunting in the woods. I'm taking my gun and I'm going out hunting in the wilderness. All of these are perfectly good synonyms for each other and country. I also want to point out this is the country or the countryside. Both work. Okay. Now, you said rural, Rashita, which is great so long as you use it as an adjective. So I grew up in a pretty rural area. That would be okay to say. But you couldn't say, I'm taking my gun and going out hunting in the rural. That's a little weird. You could also say an underdeveloped area, but you need to be careful. This is specifically talking more like countries. We use underdeveloped here to talk about countries that may not have that much urbanization, that much development. You could also say, I grew up out in the sticks, the boonies, the outback, the countryside. On a farm would also be okay. Okay, actually, I will add that one. I grew up on a farm. Boondocks. Do you like that one? Or did you know it before, Rashida? The Boondocks. Ah, the Boondocks. Let me double check that. I think you're right, but I'm... Boondocks. See, it's a really popular cartoon and comic. That's what I knew. But I think it's also an area. Define rough or isolated country. Is out in the boondocks. Yep, that would also be okay. Nice job, Rosita. We are going to add that to the vocab list for everyone who comes out later. And that gives us another great sentence as well. This place is out in the boondocks. You'd never get there by bus. Okay. We had this last one. We often went camping way out in the boonies, the sticks, the boondocks. All of that would work here. The sticks, the boonies, the boondocks. Okay. Nice. So let's keep on going. Now, this next one I have not put together because I'm pretty sure you guys are able to do it yourself. What are some things that you'd see in the country? What are some things that you'd see in the countryside? Ooh, backcountry, Rashida, that's really good. I grew up in a pretty rural area. I grew up in the backcountry. That would be okay. Okay, nice. So what are some things that you'd see in the countryside? And I know that this varies from culture to culture, so that's one of the reasons why we're doing this. Like in America, you'd see fields, sorry about that, fields of corn or soybeans, cows, maybe horses. What are some things that you'd see? So, agriculture farm. I'm glad that you said that, Rosita. Farms are agriculture, so we wouldn't really say agriculture farm. We would just say a farm. Small towns, homesteads, maybe isolated homesteads. Dilapidated buildings, paddy fields. That's cool, definitely, for sure. Paddy fields, you would not see those in the States or in Australia or in the UK, but these are things that you see in your own countries, and that is fantastic. Natural things, just very natural. I saw some natural things. I love going out to see nature firsthand. Okay. What are some examples of natural things? And while you're typing that, Rashida, I'm going to try to fix my mic again. Just 1 second. Okay. Can you guys hear me now? Okay, it looks like we still have audio, but I still have that annoying ting. I apologize for that. Yeah, villages. So I'm going to put that over here by small towns. Okay. In wilderness, you may see some animals, right? Like in America, you might see bears, cougars, snakes, deer. We have a lot of deer, raccoons, squirrels. What type of flora and fauna would you see in your own countries? And these are some great geographical features and landscapes: waterfalls, forests. If you wanted a good description, you could say rolling hills, mountains off in the distance, cows. Okay, yeah, nice. These are pretty good. And now for the really fun one, which is activities that you would do in the country or the countryside. And I'll tell you now, being able to say things that you would do out there would really strengthen your answer. A lot of people give really vague answers on the IELTS exam. Like, they'll say, yeah, I like to go into the countryside, but they don't come up with details of things that they do or see. So that's part of the reason we are having this live stream, is to help you guys out, to make sure you guys are able to use this stuff and go deeper. So what are some activities that you can do in the countryside? I'll give some popular ones in the US. We like to go fishing, hunting, hiking. What are some things that you guys know that people do in your country? Rashitha, you're so lucky. You have a one-on-one class. You can ask anything. Hi, Vantran. Stealing it from Rashitha. What are some activities that you guys can do in the countryside or in the country? Flying kites. Yes! Yes, you can do that. I loved going out into the wide open country and flying kites with my brothers and sisters. Yeah. By the way, wide open country is a nice collocation that you can pick up. Yeah, nice. And it's important that you do go kite flying in wide open country. Don't try to do it in the forests. Oh, playing childhood games. Like hide and seek. What's another one? King of the Hill. Tag, red light, green light. What else? Hide and seek, King of the Hill, tag, red light, green light. There are a bunch of them. Hunting. Rashitha, have you ever gone hunting before? Maybe deer hunting, hunting for deer. And when you go deer hunting, a lot of people sit in a deer stand and wait for deer to walk by. You could also go bow hunting. It is difficult, but very rewarding. So you could go deer hunting, bow hunting, many different kinds of hunting. Oh, Rasita liked to go and play in the river. That's another great thing. Play in the river, or go swimming in the river. Now, Rajita, that's really interesting. When you say you have a lot of issues with elephants, like when you go out into the countryside, are they dangerous? Is that the problem? Yeah, Van Tran. It sounds like I have a little bit of an audio issue. I'm going to try to raise the volume a little bit. It sounds like I have a little bit of an audio issue. I'm going to try to raise the volume a little bit. Is that any better, Van Tran? Ah. So, Rashitha, that's really interesting. The way that you explained that, Rashitha, was perfectly fine. To give you a higher level way to say it, we have a lot of problems with elephants. They raid our food stores, which we need for winter, or which we need. Yes. So again, Rashita, the way that you said it was perfectly fine. This is just giving you a little bit of higher level vocabulary. They raid our food stores. Okay. Yeah, Van Tran, yes, if you're still having problems with the audio, like I know that it has annoying tinniness to it, and it's too much, just let me know. Maybe we can postpone it. I may need to buy a new mic, which makes me sad. I think it's actually the connection in my computer that's bad, not the mic itself. But we'll test it next time. Okay. So our village is like one family. That's really good. Let me add that. Our village is like one big family. One big family is a better collocation with this sentence frame. But yeah, that's really cool, Rashita. So are you actually out in the countryside? Is that where your home is? Or maybe you grew up there? While you're answering that, Rashita, because I am really interested, let's move on to comparing city and country living. Comparing city and country living. So this is another pretty important thing, the comparing especially. A lot of students forget to use comparative grammar, like which one's better, what more, less, using those kind of words. So that's really cool, Rasita. Everything I told you was from my personal experience. I told you was based on my personal experience. That's so cool, Rashita. So you would be perfect for comparing country and city living then. Which one's better? Have you been to both? And Van Tran, how about you? Is it better to live in the country or the city? I think that this is one of those things where like people who live in the city have dreams of living in the country. They think that living in the country would be fantastic. But then people who really live in the country are like, no, your dreams are just fantasies. Your dreams are just fantasies. They aren't based on reality. Can you tell me, Rashitha? Would you rather be living in the city or would you rather be living in the countryside? Okay. Country is far better. Okay. Living in the country is far better. It really depends on the person. Nice. It really depends on the person, by the way, is a great set phrase that I highly recommend you guys look into. Okay. So, Van Tran, why do you say living in the country is far better? The pollution is the pollution is better in the city. Actually, we would probably say the pollution is worse in the city. There isn't as much pollution out in the country. Okay. So Van Tran, you say we have fewer factories. Does that mean you are from the country as well? Do you live out in the countryside as well, Van Tran? And I hope you guys realize that what people are saying in chat, I'm putting up here with a few little changes. Far fewer is a nice little collocation that you can put in your pocket and use for yourself. Ah, okay. Hello, Asma. Ah, cities are more cramped, be it on public transportation or in shopping areas. Hello. Yes. So let me take your sentence. It looks fantastic. Let me just fix it up a little bit. Happy to see you. So cities are more cramped. So living in the country is far better. The pollution is worse in the cities. Cities are more cramped. Be it on public transport or in shopping arenas or shopping areas. Okay. Nowadays, most of the people are willing to move to the city due to financial issues. Okay. So I think you guys agree that living in the countryside is better. So let's continue this. Even though this is true, and this means that living in the country is far better, so let me highlight that so that it's really clear. Even though this is true, most people are making the move to cities due to financial pressures or to get better jobs or to get higher paying jobs. Okay, that's very true. When compared to opportunities, they are fetched far more easily in the cities. Okay. It's a lot easier to find a job in the city than the country. Okay. Be careful, fetched is a little bit weird to say there. But the idea is perfect. Okay. Food in the countryside is much more cheap. Be careful with that one, Van Tran. Food in the countryside is much cheaper and fresher. Because it is all homegrown and hand-picked. Okay, I like these ideas. Great job, guys. We like villages because we wanted to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city and get off the beaten track. Rashitha, I see no grammatical problems. I'm just going to copy and paste that over. Nice. And Van Tran, I'll look at yours and then we will move on because we've got to keep going. But these are fantastic sentences, fantastic comparisons. I like how someone was like, it depends on the person, and then all of you guys are like, yeah, cities suck. We go there for the money. That's it. Okay, education is also a step ahead in the city. I would probably change this to several steps ahead. And that's is nice. This is a great phrase to use. Used correctly in this situation. And then Van Tran's. But in the city we might have a lower income. So young people like there to seek for a job. Okay, this one we do need to fix up a little bit, Van Tran, but in the city, so I'll say, even though it is nicer in the countryside, many young people still go to cities because the salaries are higher. To look for a job. Yeah, seek for, we kind of like fetch, someone else said fetch, doesn't really work. Look for a job, seek a job would be okay, but look for a job because the salaries are higher. Okay. Nice. Let's keep moving. You guys did fantastic there. Thanks so much. We're going to move down. There's two more things, but we will go through them really quickly. I have a variety of questions here, and I want to point out the differences between them. A lot of people have trouble. They answer the wrong question. A lot of the time, this is because students try to memorize answers online, and then the examiner, they have different questions. But the person listening doesn't quite, it thinks that they hear their memorized question, and so they just say their question, their answer. I know you guys are better than that. You guys are not trying to memorize answers. You guys are trying to improve your English, because you guys are awesome. But I want to go over these because these questions are usually confused. So just as an example, do you live in the country? This means right now, are you living there? Be very careful. I have heard people confuse this with what country do you live in. The country and country are different. I know you guys are probably laughing, you won't make this mistake, but I have heard students make this mistake before. So do you live in the country? That means do you not live in the city? Okay, next up, have you ever lived in the country? They want a present perfect answer. So yes, I have, no, I haven't. Always make sure you try to listen to that first question word. It's usually important. And then have you ever visited the country? Again, this is different than lived. Visited and lived. Visited is a short time. Lived is, you had a house there. Maybe you lived there for 2 years. Maybe you visited for just a week. Okay, here are two more. Can you guys tell me the difference? What's the difference between these two sentences? Anyone see it? Well, this one is definitely going to be present perfect. Okay. How many times have you gone? I've gone several times. This one is present simple. So they both start with how, but how often is usually going to be present simple. And then how many is usually going to be, if you say how many times, it's usually going to be present perfect. So if you have trouble with knowing when to use present perfect, I hope that this helps you out a little bit. The other thing is right here, usually. We're running out of colors to use. We'll use light blue. This is often used with the present simple. How often do you usually go out to the country? I usually go out in the country maybe once a year. How many times have you gone out to the country? Oh, I've gone out to the country maybe 10 times in my life. My life. Okay. How about this next one? Can you guys tell me what's the difference between these two? Or, sorry, when was the last time you went out to visit the country? We'll put this in magenta. Please make sure you say the time. So maybe it was 2005, maybe it was 2010, maybe you're there right now. And again, just keep an eye out for the grammar that they want you to use. This was past simple. Okay, these two, what do you normally do? Again, they are looking for present simple here. And what did you do? Which is past. And if you ever don't hear, what did you do? What do you do? What do you? What did you? What do you? What did you? If you have trouble, listening for if they have a time phrase will often help you out. Okay, so nice, Asma, you nailed it. Just so that you guys can practice listening to these different ones, I'm just going to say them really quickly. What do you normally do when you take a trip out to the country? What did you do last time you went out into the country? What do you normally do when you take a trip out to the country? What did you do last time you went out into the country? Okay, and finally we have these last two. Will you go out to the country next weekend? Would you like to live out in the countryside? What's the difference between these two? Yes, this is future, and this is more like, is this something you want to do? This is the exact same question as, do you want to live out in the countryside? Okay, so just go through these on your own time. Remember, you can do it right here. Just click the link and it will open up for you. And you can scroll down and practice these to realize that they are different. If you have friends, or if you go over to our Discord and find someone to chat with, feel free to go through these, just so that you can practice hearing it correctly. Again, the problem is students know the grammar, but they don't hear it. And that is usually what leads to the problems. Alright, we have some pronunciation practice. I'm sorry we don't have time for me to practice with you guys, so I'm just going to say it, and then you guys can listen and say, and then we will move on immediately down to part 1 questions, make a few of them, not too long because we already did a lot of them earlier, and then we'll go to part 3 questions, which is what you guys are really here for. So, pronunciation practice. I'm going to use a little bit of an accent to help you guys out. I'm going to sound like I'm from the sticks, from someone who lives in the countryside in America. I hope you guys enjoy it. I love going out into the great outdoors. I love going out into the great outdoors. By the way, Zawil, I will answer your question. So you had your official test, and in the last question of 3, the examiner stopped me before it begins. Yes, this does happen. The test ends when the test ends. Examiners try to make it so that they don't cut you off like that, but sometimes they lose track of time. Sometimes they just want to see if you can answer the next one before time is up. And so that does unfortunately sometimes happen. When 14 minutes is up, they will stop the test, even if you are in the middle of an answer. So Zoil, don't be too worried. It does happen. If you know that you gave great answers, you should feel pretty good about yourself. Okay, great questions, Zoil. And for anyone else who is watching, this is an open live stream. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Okay. Time to practice the next one. Again, remember, at any point afterwards, these are up forever. You guys can come back and practice this again. So let me try to turn on the accent again. You guys can listen and say with me. I love hunting, fishing, trapping, shooting, and drinking. I love hunting, fishing, trapping, shooting, and drinking. I love hunting, fishing, trapping, shooting, and drinking. Okay. So, let me do the last one for you guys. I hope you guys listen and say with me. Again, remember, you guys can always go back and practice by yourself. A few years back, I went to see where my girlfriend grew up in Texas. I was way out in the middle of nowhere. There were only cows and fields for miles and miles. Not much to do to look up at the stars at night, but boy were they beautiful. Zoil, glad that I could relieve some stress for you. Thanks for stopping by all these times, by the way. I really hope you did well. Please let us know, regardless of what score you got. We'd love to hear it. Okay, let's do this a second time and then move on. A few years back, I went to see where my girlfriend grew up in Texas. It was way out in the middle of nowhere. There were only cows and fields for miles and miles. Not much to do but look at the stars at night. But boy were they beautiful. All right. All right, guys. So, again, practice as much as you want later on. We're going to move down to part 1 questions. So some of you guys have been here before. You guys know what to do. Just start giving me some part 1 questions. Remember, part 1 questions are going to be about you and your personal experiences. So what are some questions you might be asked on the exam? I'll give you 1 or 2 minutes to start typing them up. We'll go through a few of them and then we'll jump to part 3. I'm hoping to finish the live stream in about 30 minutes from now. So we're going to spend maybe 10 minutes on part 1 and then the rest of the time on part 3. So please type up some questions in the chat. Let me know, what are some questions about you that you may have to answer about the countryside? I'm going to give you a few minutes to type in chat. Give me a second to grab some water. While you guys are typing, I have some beautiful pictures that I can share with you. This is an example of In the Sticks. This is an example of In the Boonies. This would be someone who lives in the boonies, out in the wilderness. Another thing that you could say is he lives off-grid. And as you guys can see, this is actually a TV show. So if you guys have any interest in how he lives, I do recommend it. This is a cabin in the woods. I don't know about you guys, but I would hate to have to go and sleep in that cabin in the woods. It looks really spooky. And feel free to type as many as you want into chat, guys. This is the movie Cabin in the Woods. If you like horror, you should check it out. I heard that it's really good. I hate horror movies, so I haven't seen it. This is a yurt, and I know it doesn't look that impressive on the outside, but some yurts look like this on the inside, and let me tell you, if I had a choice, I would love to go camping here. In fact, we have a special word for it. It's called glamping. When you camp in style, when you camp with all the amenities, we call it glamping. Okay, and this is the Australian outback. Yeah. Okay, so let me start putting up your part 1 questions. Do you want to move to the countryside? Nice one, Linda. And then let me throw up another one. Do you have family and friends in the countryside? Excellent, Asma. And let me just really quickly add the things that I said. Live off-grid. Camping versus glamping. We stayed in a yurt that was surprisingly comfortable. Okay, so let me put these up, and then if you guys want me to answer any of these, just let me know. And you can answer any of the ones that were up before as well. And if you want me to answer any of them, just let me know, and I would be more than happy to. Ooh, I really like Asma's second one. Has the countryside changed since you visited it in your childhood? Really, since you visited it in your childhood is okay. I think it's more likely to be since your childhood. Okay. Again, both work. Have you gone to the countryside? Nice, Linda. I think this would probably be, have you ever gone to the countryside? Nice, because it's probably in your life. What do you like to do when you're in the countryside? Perfect. And yeah, go ahead, guys. These are plenty of questions. Feel free to answer 1 or 2 of them. I will answer 1 or 2 of them, and then we can move on to part 3. So go ahead, like I said before. Do you plan to live in the countryside in the future? Ooh. Okay, juicy questions. Do you live in the town or in the country? And then, do you think it's better to live in the countryside or in urban areas? Rashitha, that last question, it could be a part 1 question. It could also be a part 3 question. So you know what? I'm going to put it down here in the part 3 as well. Okay. Now is the time. If you guys want to type up any answers to any of these questions, feel free to. If you want me to answer any, just say, Michael, please answer question number 1, question number 2, or question number 3, whichever one you want me to do. We're going to spend maybe 5 minutes here with me answering some of these, and then we will move on to part 3. So go ahead, guys. I'm going to give you guys a minute or 2 to type. Again, for anyone new coming in, you guys can just click the document link right here in the description, and then you just scroll on down to the bottom, and you guys can type in chat any ones that you want to answer. So Linda, you want me to answer number 4? Okay. Has the countryside changed much, or has the countryside changed since you visited in your childhood? Oh yes. Oh yeah. Completely. Back when I was a kid, there was so much empty space. There were uncut forests and fields as far as the eye could see. I lived in a pretty small community. Then there was a job boom, and a ton of people moved out here. The fields were paved over and the forests were cut down to make room for housing developments. Now there is suburbia as far as the eye can see. Okay, so this is actually what happened to the town. Not since, so my hometown is Burke, Virginia. This is literally what happened, but not when I was young. When I was young, it was already mostly suburbia. But this is how it started. Maybe 20 years before I was born, it was countryside, and then it really quickly turned into suburbia. Alternatively, we could also answer, and again, this is my answer. If you guys want to put your own answers, just press enter. If you guys want me to answer any more, that's okay, but I will type up if it didn't change much. So, has the countryside changed much since you visited in your childhood? Not really. The countryside in my country is mostly untouched because it is all protected in national parks. Our government does a really good job making sure that our cities don't expand out too far and eat up all the farmland and nature preserves. Okay. So, not really. The countryside in my hometown is mostly untouched because it is all protected in national parks. Our government does a really good job making sure our cities don't expand out too far and eat up all the farmland and nature preserves. Okay, Linda, I hope that was helpful, especially this first one, because I have a feeling this happened a lot. I'm going to add one more detail here. It's mostly disappeared, actually. This is actually really important to tie up all my details together. Before I added this detail, these didn't really answer the question. They weren't exactly on topic. Great grammar, great vocab, but after I add this, now I'm saying how it changed. So yeah, it's changed completely, it's disappeared. Here I'm saying it hasn't changed, and then I say why. Okay, Linda, thank you for your smiley face. Okay. Any more answers that you guys want me to do, or does anyone have their own answers? Just press enter. Otherwise, I'm assuming this is you guys saying, Teacher Michael, please move on to part 3. We don't care about part 1. Part 1 is easy. Okay, so part 3 questions. Give me as many part 3 questions as you can. If anyone does drop an answer for part 1, I will go back and fix it. But give me some of those part 3 questions. Go ahead, guys. I'll give you guys 2 or 3 minutes to write down as many as you can. Okay, so start writing down part 3 questions if you want. I'm going to fix Rashita's answer. Okay. So Rasitha's answer is to the last one, I'm assuming. Do you think it's better to live in the countryside or an urban area? To be truthful, I don't like cities due to various pollution, due to all the pollution there. And the air is not good for one's health. Living in the countryside. Really is superior. Okay. So again, I want to point out Rasitha's answer was okay, but even after I fixed it, but this is the actual answer to the question. So, do you think it's better to live in the countryside or urban areas? Saying that you don't like cities doesn't really answer the question, because maybe you also don't like the countryside. Ah, she hadn't finished her answer. So let me put down her complete answer. And her complete answer may be okay. Alright, again guys, this is also time for you guys to be coming up with those part 3 questions. So it's nice to get away from the noise and breathe some fresh air. Being there really gives me a sense of appreciation for the beauty that nature offers. Ooh, I want to point out one thing that's fantastic that nature offers. This is an example of high level grammar, because it is a relative clause that's used correctly. And then of course it gives me a sense of appreciation for the beauty. This is just a fantastic collocation. Yeah. Being there, this is the only thing that you really need to be careful of. Does there mean the city, or does it mean the country? So I would change this just a tiny bit. Being out in the country. I know context makes it clear she's obviously talking about the countryside. But here in this situation, because the last thing you talked about was cities, you do need to make sure that you don't have bad referencing. But other than that, just a few little things that changed. That was a great answer. Okay. So let's move on to part 3. Again, if you guys have part 1 questions, don't be afraid, you can still submit it just like Rasitha did. But otherwise, give me some of those beautiful, juicy part 3 questions. I'm going to grab some water, so please add them as fast as you can. Okay. Yes. Changed since you were a child. This is an example, Rasitha, of how it wouldn't be in part 3. Remember part 3, and by the way, also remember it's always the countryside. Just to point that out, that's a really common mistake people make. Since in the past 50 years, or remember, these part 3 questions will not ever use you as a reference point unless it's asking your opinion. It's always going to be about idea in general. So again, the question itself is fine. Just make sure that the wording is so that you're practicing correctly, that it's in the abstract. Okay, Rasitha has another one. It's like he's copying and pasting them. What advantages does living in the countryside have compared to living in the city? I like this one. I would love to see what you guys said about that. Okay. By the way, while you guys are continuing to type, I want to remind you guys, you can see in our description our schedule. We are doing Tuesdays and Saturdays this month. So make sure you guys come for Phil's on Tuesday the 12th. Okay. I know that it's dragged on for about an hour, and I know that this is hard to keep pushing through, but I want to make sure you guys have the opportunity to answer some of these questions. So if you guys have more questions, feel free to put them on. And if you want me to answer one, please let me know. And the best thing you could do is type your own answer so that I can help you out, point out some mistakes. So go ahead. If you have more questions, go ahead and ask them. I want you guys to try your best to answer these. Also, don't forget, for anyone who is watching this later, feel free to leave a comment with your own answers. Me and Phil will go back and check it out for you. Okay. Any of these you guys want me to answer? Any of these that you want to answer? Go ahead. We have about 10 more minutes max, and this is what we would use it for. Don't forget that you can practice speaking with Phil on Tuesday. Hello for anyone stopping by. Do you guys want to give a try for these questions? Remember, you can see everything in the document right here. Just click the link in the description. We have 3 beautiful part 3 questions. If you guys want to ask more, or have me do it, or write your own, now's the time. Okay, 1 or 2 more minutes to see if anyone has any questions that they want to try to answer. Now is the time. I know Rasitha is working hard. I can't wait to see your answer. And thank you, Rasitha, for being here the whole time. You are truly a super student. I know that these are hard, but this is your time to have a native speaker fix your sentences. Anybody feeling up to the challenge? Okay, I'll wait 1 more minute to see if anyone else has one that they want to have checked out, or if you want me to give any high-level answers myself. Oh, it looks like we have one from Robin. Let me see if I can push it over. Okay, where I come from, the countryside is actually shrinking. More suburbs are being developed there because of all the open land, and businesses are coming along with that. Okay. Yeah, that answers the question perfectly. Now remember, the examiner is going to, because this is part 3, the examiner is going to ask follow-up questions after that. So after hearing this answer, just some example follow-up questions that might come is, in that case, how much countryside is left? Or do you think that this will lead to any problems? Robin, do you think you could choose one or two of those to answer? Because again, remember, this is how it will really be on the test. You'll answer the question, as Robin has done, and then they will probably ask you another follow-up question. Okay, great. I look forward to hearing it. And again, anyone else who's there, this is your time. Be brave like Robin. Hello, Arman. Welcome. We're nearing the end of the live stream, but this is part 3. There's still time. If you want to try to answer any of these questions, feel free to. Also, if you want to hear me answer one of these questions, just let me know which one. Also, you can try to come up with a question if you want. Part 3 speaking questions are always going to be abstract. So the ones we have so far is, do you think it's better to live in the countryside or an urban area? Have the areas of countryside in your country changed in the past 50 years? And what advantages does living in the countryside have compared to living in the city? So feel free to answer any of those, or if you want me to answer one, go ahead. It looks like Robin has another great answer to a follow-up question. And it looks like she answered this one. So, do you think that this will lead to any problems? And then, I like this. This is hedging. She's saying, I'm not sure, but she still answers the question. This is what you want to be doing with your answers, guys. So, but I'd assume the typical issues of overpopulation will ultimately follow. Nice. Will ultimately follow is a great thing to steal. City becoming suburb, suburb becoming city, and then the same old problems pop back up maybe 70 years later. Okay. So the main problem here being overpopulation. Got it. I personally would probably add to that. Countryside, by the way, and you can go back and watch the whole live stream, which is all about the countryside. But if we go all the way to the top of the document, and again, this document is in the description of the video. This is the video. If you look right down here, you can see the document. Another way to say the countryside is the bush, the outback, the woods, the sticks. I actually have some pictures. This is the countryside. It's areas that are mostly forests or farms. So it looks like you came to the right place, Arman. Unfortunately, you came right at the end! So, thanks for joining. I do want to remind you guys that on Saturdays you will have vocab with me, and on Tuesdays you will have speaking practice with Phil. So, I hope that you guys found this useful. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button. It really helps us out a lot. It's been great to see everybody again, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Remember, keep studying hard. You guys can do it. I believe in you. Zawil, if you're still watching, please let us know how you did. You guys are awesome students. Keep up the good work. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye, guys.